Hello, anyone out there? Just wanted to preface the upcoming video with this little statement. It is being recorded in my car, so I don't wake my wife and child. It's currently 11 p.m. We just got back from the 513 gaming tournament in Cincinnati, Ohio, and after we got back, we recorded the video coming up after this, which is our experience at the two most recent RTTs. Wanted to make this to cover up some things we missed. The first one is a huge shout out to the venues who hosted the events. That's the Hobby Shop in Dayton and 513 Gaming in Cincinnati. Also, big shout out to the tournament organizers, Dave Ewan, who runs the bi-monthly tournament at the Hobby Shop, and Greg Davis, who ran the tournament at 513 Gaming. Also, wanted to apologize, still getting used to some editing. In the video after this, there's some dogs barking. I'm not very good at editing yet, so you may see some cuts. The video cut in and out to kind of try and clean some of that up. Keith, who is my counterpart, that will be talking about his experience in the tournaments and the videos as well. He mentioned the players' names. I forgot to do so, but this is all just public information you can get from the Best Coast Pairings app, which, if you like competitive 40K, I would recommend getting that. It's $5 a month. Skip Starbucks once a month. You can get access to all the lists from past tournaments. Also want to point out that the channel, it's just a hobby, so we're not putting a lot of money investment into it, so we don't have like a lighting rig or anything like that. So the next video you see, it's just us in Keith's basement with his lighting, just standard house lights, so the lighting is a little bit off as well. Once again, thank you for watching, and if you have any suggestions, anything you'd like to see on the next video, we hope to cover, just more of our tournament experience, more videos just here and there. Just once again, as a hobby, nothing serious. Just go ahead and shoot me a message on Facebook or put it in a comment below. Thanks, everyone. Hello everyone, welcome back to another YouTube video. In this video we're going to be talking about our recent tournament experience. We went to two local RTTs, one at the Hobby Shop in Dayton, Ohio, and one at 513 Gaming in the Cincinnati area. They were both pretty fun, pretty low key. I finished about middle of the pack both tournaments. Keith here finished second both tournaments. So we're just going to review kind of what we did there. We'll start off with my list. I took Drukhari, Cabals, and Coven. Same list both times. Real high level overview, a couple Venoms, some Ravagers, one Flyer, and then I have a Grotesque Bomb for the Covens, and then some Talos for the Covens as well. Then a couple Deep Striping Scourges and Mandrakes. As far as how our rounds went, my first round I faced Kraken Gene Stealers in a Tyranids army. That was my first time facing them, and I made a pretty large mistake. I got too close to them turn one in order to try and get within Splinter Fire range.
Hold on, I'll go get them.
No, they're fine.
Okay.
We'll cut that out in post. Sorry about that. Dogs, cut them out. But it was Kraken Gene Stealers got into my line. I lost that 7-17. My next round, well, I guess let's talk about the MVP. I lost pretty bad, so I didn't really have an MVP that round. My next round, though, was against Guard, and I was able to edge this win out 12-10. They had the three Lehman Russ tank commanders. I was just able to get the flyer across the board, drop a bomb. I got a lot of points off that. The Guard player made a small mistake in not realizing the Talos had fly, so that when they flew their flyer into my lines, the Talos was able to pick that flyer up pretty easily, hitting on strength 8 with Urian next to them. MVP of that round was definitely the Talos. Third round, I played against a Primaris Marine army. This one was a little one-sided, 20-12, mostly because Primaris just fall so easily to disintegrator cannons. -3 AP, 2 damage. They're made for killing Primaris. That was definitely the MVP of the unit. The Venoms did decently well too. I was able to fly those across the board, get close to characters, snipe a couple of them out. All in all, came in, I think I was 4th or 5th place, maybe 6th that tournament. But that was the Hobby Shop tournament in Dayton. How about you, Keith? How'd your what list did you take, and how did your round 1 go?
I brought Tau, and I brought the Tau Sept. I went a little off the script, and I went with the Brigade, which isn't common. I went with 7 Fire Warrior squads, a 5-man. Brought Marker Lights in all of them. It's kind of my Marker Light, hidden Marker Light support. 3 squads of Pathfinders with Pulse Drones, and then 2 Grav Wave inhibitors.
Did those actually do anything for you, the Grav Waves?
Like one game.
One game?
I think it was the 3rd game. No, I take that back. It was the 3rd game. I stopped a Warglaive from getting in. And the game I actually probably would have done the most work was against the Kraken Gene Stealers in my first game, and I kept forgetting to put the drone up front.
Close enough to make a
difference.
difference.
Close enough to make a difference, so of course. But I brought 5 broadsides, missile sides, 1 Riptide with the burst cannon, smart missile systems, Shadow Sun, Ethereal, Cadre Fire Blade, and then 2 Firesight Marksmen, and I think like 20 shield drones. I think I brought 20 shield drones. So, you know, I kind of procrastinated, didn't build my army as fast as I wanted to, so I kind of just took with what I had. I had a commander. I had a Cold Star with 4 fusion guns. My first matchup was against Kraken Gene Stealers. I fought like 120 Gene Stealers with, there was a Maliceptor or Malanthrope from Forge World, the Forge World -1 to hit monster. And then I fought up against, my second round was against, I should talk about the first round. First round, I won 35-16. Just unfortunate. My opponent, he just kind of was throwing the Gene Stealers away. He wasted some stratagems where he would double move them. Or no, he got to double his advance roll.
Right, okay.
And put Gene Stealers right in my front door. And then he used the move twice ability with the Swarm Lord, to move the same squad again.
So you only had 1 threat in your face.
Yeah, he could have easily had 2, but then I deleted one of the Gene Stealer units that got in my face. Now I had the shield drones out screening, so even if he charged that second squad in, he probably wasn't going to be able to stop my broadsides from shooting the next turn. But just the fact that he didn't do that cost him the game. Round 2, I went up against.
Who would you say your MVP was that first round?
MVP.
If you can
broadsides.
Remember, broadsides.
Broadsides.
Probably every game.
They just they just carry me to victory. It's just the sheer amount of missiles they can bring, and since the smart missiles ignore line of sight, they can pick off objective grabbers. They can pick off light infantry. And then the high yields, the high volume of them, they just tear down elites, they tear down vehicles. It's a great unit. One of my 2+ armor save, the drone support. They're a great unit.
Tell me about round 2.
Round 2, I went up against a Ben Stip. He played Tyranids, but he played a shooting Tyranids list. He played. He brought a bunch of DAC effects, Hive Guard squad, and some Gaunts, 3 high tyrants with the Daka Tyrants. That was an interesting game because I did something I had never done as a Tau player. I did the Mont Ka to the center of the table, and I took the center of the table, which kind of threw my opponent off guard because he just figured I was going to Kaiyun twice in a row.
Right, yep, Shadow Sun.
And so taking the center of the table, I got really lucky with some rolls and deleted his Exocrine turn 1 or turn 2. And his Exocrine just couldn't get through my drones, and I was making really good saves. It was just, and then the broadsides just came out to play. I mean, every turn they were just stripping away his gaunts. And he was holding the gaunts back to run out and grab objectives. And he started throwing Ripper Swarms and Ruins, which was smart, but the smart missile systems you can't hide.
Yeah.
So they're just, so once again, well, I would say the MVP that game would probably be my Riptide, because at the time I was giving him I think it's the command and control node or whatever. It's the Strategium, the commander.
Wounds.
Yeah,
reroll the wounds. Yep.
And he just brought a flying Hive Tyrant down. He slaughtered the Exocrine. He was pretty good.
Riptide.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
The Riptide. Turn 3, I played Nathan Gold. He played a Black Templars list. It was a very interesting list. It had the squad of Executioners. He had the Assassin, the Vindicare. He was rocking the Knight Atropos, the one with the laser cannon.
Okay, yeah. Rest in peace, Forge World Knights.
Yeah, I don't know what happened to them.
They got nerfed across the board, all of them. Yeah.
We'll have to talk about that later. I don't know how that happened, but
yeah.
He brought one of those. He brought a Contemptor with carries pattern assault weapons and a cyclone missile launcher, and then he brought a Leviathan with a grav flux bombardment cannon, and then a storm cannon, a bunch of Primaris troops, a scout squad, and Helvrin and a Warglaive.
One of each. That's interesting.
So it was an interesting list because he really souped the Atropos up. He gave it a 2+ save, gave it the 4+ invuln save. It had a Warlord trait where no matter how well I wounded it, I could never wound it on anything but a 4.
Yeah, yeah.
So he put it in my face, and the whole tournament, no one had killed that thing. So, and being part of an RTT, that's what they're called, right?
Yep.
RTT, you can kind of see what people are bringing and how they're playing and watch other games. And so no one had been able to kill this thing. And so I made sure to get rid of it turn 1. And I know it probably wasn't the biggest threat because I probably could have stopped it. I could have screened it out and probably shot some other things.
Maybe bracketed it.
Yeah, bracketed it and kind of just. But being a Tau Castle, I was like, I gotta deal with this thing. But he just kept putting threats in my face.
Did you take Kingslayer that game? Do you remember?
I did.
Yeah, so you got max points off that night.
Yeah, I rocked that. Yeah. So that was an interesting game. I lost. So that was the I guess you could call it the championship game. But
right.
It was. I lost that game, and that was kind of. So I'm new to the ITC. That was my second RTT, second time going to a tournament, ITC tournament, and there was a little bit of a quarry over misunderstanding of objectives. He picked an objective that he thought he had, and he didn't really have it, and so I ended up giving him the points for the objective that he thought he had picked, and he ended up winning the game. But nonetheless, it was a really hard-fought game. I mean, he played it smart. He kept me cornered in my castle the whole time, which you think as a Tau player you'd want to be in a castle, but you also kind of have to be cheeky and grab objectives and score points because it's a points game.
Yep.
And I mean, after that big night came, then he sent the Warglaive, then he sent the Leviathan, then he sent the Contemptor, and just every turn I couldn't move out because I had to stand still to deliver the shots I needed. So Plus, I had put velocity trackers on all of my broadsides, expecting flyer spam and venom spam, and I didn't go up against a single
flyer.
Well, the hive tyrants that helped.
Right.
I mean, the hive tyrants that I was hitting the hive tyrants on twos. So.
So, who do you think your MVP of that game was?
Tie between the broadside and the riptide. They just
Riptides.
do so much damage.
Well, that's the backbone of the list, right? That is the list.
Well,
is the
then
broadsides and the riptides.
So my next list you'll see why.
So moving on past the Hobby Shop tournament, we also recently went to a tournament at 513 Gaming in Cincinnati. Let's pull that up here. So I brought the same list. You know, the little bit of everything: Cabal and Coven, 3 Ravagers, Cabal the Blackheart, just pretty standard. Grotesque, Bomb, Talos, same list. My first round, let's pull that up. Round 1, I went against a Space Marine army that actually brought drop pods, so that was really unique. He did a Space Marine castle in the middle of the board, in the middle of his deployment zone. We were playing Dawn of War with Devastators, the Banner, Captain, Lieutenant, and I got turn 1, so that was unfortunate for him. The Ravagers just stripped all the Devastators off the board, but the Banner let him get shots off. I think if you're going to bring a castle, you got to bring the Banner for Space Marines. The firepower is just a little bit too much for Marines, which I can't think is just kind of the place the Marines are in right now. But he did something that was very smart, pretty interesting too. He brought in drop pods, and inside that drop pods was basically a second castle, which if I had looked closer, I would have realized it was a second castle, but I thought Marines drop pods, whatever. But it was a second castle, so I killed the first castle. He dropped down a second one, out popped actually Vulcan, Heston, or whatever his name is, Salamanders, a bunch of vets with combi meltas, storm shields. He popped out, was able to clear one side of the board, but I still had a bunch of stuff on the other side of the board. All in all, the final score was 14-18 in the Dark Eldar's favor. Say the MVP, that game was definitely the Ravagers. Ravagers versus Marines is just too hard for the Marines to fight against. Round 2, I faced another Dark Eldar player who gave me a spanking. Investing basically half my list into Coven, Prophets of Flesh. I have a 4-up Invone, and so I rely on that for my defense. I rely on T7, T6, right, high toughness for defense. He brought a Venom spam list. So how do you get past an Invone? Just weight of shots. He brought that. How do you get past high toughness? Well, poison always wins on a 4, no matter your toughness. So it was like he was shooting me with strength 7 weapons because it was 4s to wound. So he came in my face with all the Venoms due to the deployment, and I had picked Engineers as a secondary. He killed both my Engineers turn 1. So
turn 1?
Yeah, turn 1, both my Engineer squads died, so I could not score Engineers that game. And it was all just downhill. It was all just downhill from there. Once again, though, he did fly a flyer into my deployment zone to drop a bomb, and then some Razor Wings got into my deployment zone. The Talos, they have fly. Like, your flyers can't get near them. Talos flew up to the plane, killed a second plane another turn, but it was just too little too late. But the Talos were the MVP of that game. Round 3, you and I played each other, which historically goes in Keith's favor. I'd say 9.
Easy on me.
No, 9 times out of 10, Keith stomps me. But it was a very close game, though, 19-21. Mm-hmm. I deployed very far back, tried to stay outside with 36-inch range, but with Shadow Sun, you can Mont Ka and then Kayun, so there's no hiding from it. I was able to edge out a few more points, got a Warlord kill at the very final speed round we did. Versus a castle, you really have to do board control, so I took recon behind enemy lines. I was able to score a lot of points off those. there's not a whole lot the castle can do about that, especially against like an Eldar fast army. But was not able to kill something first turn, so old school. I lost a point. I missed a point on that, and then just the sheer firepower and velocity tracker is just uphill battle from there. But lost that one by 2. MVP that game for me, I would say probably my Mandrakes. They dropped in, killed a Fire Warrior squad, killed a second Fire Warrior squad, held an objective that they took from the Fire Warriors, and then they were extremely more durable than they had business being.
Yeah.
So the Mandrakes MVP that turn. How did your round 1 go at the 513 gaming tournament?
Well, I changed up my list a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of the brigade, I went with a battalion, a spearhead, and a vanguard. I saw something pretty interesting people have done where they bring the Sia sept with a ethereal and 3 Cadre Fireblade, or 3 Firesight Marksmen. So I wanted to give that a shot, which that's a funny story. Then I saw how much devastation the broadsides bring, so I went with 6 broadsides this time and 2 riptides. Shadow Sun, an ethereal, 2 Cadre Fireblades, and then the detachment, or 3 Fire Warrior squads, and then the detachment of the Sasia with the ethereal and 3 Firesight Marksmen.
So instead of Tau Brigade, it's Tau Battalion?
Tau Battalion,
and then
Tau Spearhead, and then the Sasia Vanguard.
Yeah, okay.
Yep. So I was missing a lot of the command points, but I figured I had wasted a lot of command points in the first tournament by spending like a lot of branch Nova charges that people weren't even shooting at my Riptides, so I don't even know why I was wasting it. So I figured 5 command points I could probably squeeze through with, and for the most part it worked out okay. My first opponent,
being down 5.
Yeah, being down.
You had more than 5 total, though, right? Yeah.
Yeah, being down 5. That's what I meant. So my first opponent, I went up against Billy Webster. He played an orc list. Just a lot of boys. Surprisingly, he brought 2 Daka Jets and then the bomb was something amazing.
The bomber.
Yeah. No, well, it was this thing. It basically had like a D6, like a melted gun on it. You know, it was pretty good. It was pretty cool. But it had an invuln save. Look at this bomb. Anyways, so
Was Daka bomb jet or something? Yeah.
I had less drops than him. I won the roll to go first. He couldn't seize on me. So that was a game where we did the spear, like we did hammer and anvil with the spear.
Pointy hammer.
Yeah.
Pointy anvil.
Yeah.
Hammer and anvil.
Pointy.
Yeah.
So I did that, and I Montcod on him. And as a Tau player, no one expects the Montcod. Like no one. I did Montcod on him, and he was just like, "You're doing what?" So
It's really good.
turn 1.
It's really good.
I killed like 80 Gretchen. I killed 6 Ludas, and then he lost 3 to morale. I killed 15 orcs, and so I was like, okay, cool. I put the hurt down on the Ludas. He had the relic shock attack gun. I knew that was going to happen. So that was just basically like, if he rolled an 11, he was going to win the game, because he was just going to rip my Riptides off the table at that point. So lucky he didn't do that. He didn't roll an 11. The drones kept me alive turn 1, but then he did the green tide and the jump and put 2 squads of 30 boys in my face. And 1 boy squad rolled an 11 to get in, and I was in a crater. He was 9 inches away. I was like, okay, cool. He's not going to make it. Rolls an 11. Completely wipes the squad. Then the next squad, he charged me, and he charged 2 squads of drones. So I got to, for the greater good, my entire castle. So I killed 30 boys.
Yeah.
I killed 30 boys in one Overwatch phase. So, and then after that, I had broken the back of the army because the boys were gone. The Ludas were dead, and we called it turn 4. Just broadsides Broadsides. Game 2, I played Frank Wilson. He's the person who won the tournament, the RTT. He played a Kronos Tyranid list. It was actually a very, very well thought out list, and it was a pretty awesome counter to my list. I have no idea who he is. He has no idea who I am. So it wasn't like he planned on me being there, but it was just a really good counter. I mean, he had Kronos with like 80 Gaunts, 20 of the Horma Gaunts, and then 20 of the regular Gaunts. He basically he was just using. He had the Forge World balance that or whatever, the minus
one bubble.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what he was doing was he was treating his Gaunts like tendrils, and he was just doing board control the whole game at -1 to hit, and he threw in some really big threats in my face that forced me to deal with them. So he had 2 Hive Tyrants that came down in the middle of the table, and there was Daka Tyrants just ripping my drones up. He won 19-20, and when we did the math, we found out one play lost me the game, and the one play that lost me the game was turn 1. I forgot the Biovores were 48-inch range, so I put a Fire Sight Marksman a little farther out than I should have, and I pulled him outside of 36 inches, but not out of 48. He's like, "Oh, you're within my range. You're a character, but you're the closest model to me, so I get to shoot you." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, you are." So he shot, killed the Fire Sight Marksman, which gave him kill 1, kill more, and Headhunter, and gave him First Blood. Without that kill, he killed nothing else that turn.
You got killed more turn 1?
Yeah, because I couldn't kill anything.
You can't kill, okay.
So turn 1, he
you got kill more off 1 kill.
You got
That's
kill
pretty
more
crazy.
Yeah. He knew my list.
Yeah.
He played all the way back we played Hammer and Anvil. He played all the way back, and so I had a Montka up to him.
Yep.
And, just the -1 to hit is it's brutal. And then I put a Riptide out there. This was dumb. I put a Riptide out there. When he dropped the 2 Tyrants down turn 2, he just might bombed the Riptide off. Yep. There was nothing I could do. So yeah, we kind of chuckled about it after the game. He's like, "Yeah, you gave me that one play with a 4-point swing." So
even though you lost, who would you say your MVP was? Nothing.
It's Broadsides.
Broadsides again? Yeah, okay.
I mean, even though they weren't doing the same work they normally do, because eventually he was outscoring me, and he realized that he had like 2 or 3 more turns, so he just started running back into his deployment zone behind a building, and he knew his -1.
You had already Montcod at that point, so
yeah, yep. I blew my load, and he's like, "All right, well, goodbye."
Yep.
And so left me to struggle to death as I was trying to hit on 6s. Round 3, Charles and I played each other, which was a really, really good game. I mean, it was 21-19.
A lot closer than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah. Which I told him after the game, I said after that turn 1 I had against him, I was kind of worried about how it was going to turn out. Because I had turn 1, I had the full castle.
Montcod to get to everything.
And man, I had to play Hammer and Anvil every freaking game.
Really?
Every game was Hammer. Well, either a version of Hammer.
Oh
and
yeah,
Anvil,
the pointy Hammer and Anvil. Yep.
So I never got to play Dawn of War, which was something I would have loved.
Yeah.
Because then there would have been nowhere anyone could hide. But yeah. So I would say you don't really give yourself a lot of choices for MVP. When your list is revolved around
basically 2 units,
2
Riptides
units,
or
Riptides
Broadsides.
and Broadsides.
Yeah.
I mean, you're running up and you're like in Space Marine range, and you're like and then you do 3D devastation and
Yep.
structural analysis. I mean, you could do some hurting on people. But
So what was your final ranking in that? You were second again?
Yep. So I got
Second?
second place that.
So both tournaments.
Yeah.
So missed it by a hair both times.
Yeah. Which was actually kind of an eye-opening experience because I thought that if you scored the most points.
Yeah, not
you
about a
win.
points tournament. Win-loss tournaments. Yep.
Yep. So.
So
Fun fact.
that is a recap of the two tournaments recently from Hobby Shop and 513 Gaming. We hope to attend more in the future, possibly once the plastic goes from gray to painted, start attending some majors or even possibly GTs, looking to travel some. And we will keep everyone updated, especially on the local scene. Yeah. If you would like to see any additional coverage of any local tournaments or anything like that, if you have any suggestions, go ahead and leave it in the comments on the video below, and we will hope to provide more content. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Bye.